For thousands of years, the great species of the galaxy had whispered about an old prophecy. It was passed down from ancient ruins, carved into forgotten stone, sung in lost languages. Every civilization that found a piece of it knew only a small part, but all versions spoke the same warning. The final war shall begin when the forgotten ones awaken. No one truly understood what it meant. Some believed it talked about a powerful lost race. Others thought it referred to an ancient enemy, sleeping deep in space. Over time, scholars decided it was just a myth, nothing more than a scary story. The Galactic Concord, a council of 12 advanced alien species, had more important matters to worry about. Peace treaties, trade routes, border disputes. The humans, new to space travel, had only joined the Concord 50 years ago. Most of the older species didn't take them seriously. That changed on the day of the Perseid dig. On the edge of the galaxy, in the cold region known as the Perseid Expanse, an alien archaeology team was exploring a dead planet. The planet had no life, no atmosphere, and no known history. But deep underground, something strange was buried. Dr. Varnak, a three-eyed researcher from the Valari species, stood in the middle of the dig site. Dust floated in the air as machines carefully removed layers of ancient rock. His assistant, a small robotic drone, beeped beside him. "We are close," the drone said. A few moments later, a chamber door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a dark room made of black metal, untouched by time. In the center of the room sat a strange object, clean, modern-looking, completely different from the ancient walls around it. It was a human satellite. The metal plate on its side was marked clearly, NASA, United States of America, 2020. Dr. Varnak froze. This cannot be. The satellite was still powered, still sending out a signal. Not only that, it was surrounded by a glowing blue field, a protective shield. The technology was far beyond what humans should have had in 2022. It was far beyond what most Concord species had even now. News of the discovery spread fast. Concord leaders gathered in emergency meetings. The humans, confused by all the attention, sent a team to the site. Earth's representative, Ambassador Layla Moraine, arrived in a simple shuttle, her face calm but serious. She stood in front of the ancient chamber looking at the satellite. She recognized the old NASA logo, but this model, she had never seen anything like it. Even Earth's most advanced scientists were confused. Then the satellite activated. A small panel opened. A beam of blue light scanned Layla. A robotic voice spoke in perfect English. "Primary Command Authority confirmed. Earth protocol unlocked." Everyone froze. "What protocol?" Layla whispered. More panels opened. A hologram showed a map of the galaxy. Thousands of red dots blinked slowly, scattered across dozens of systems. At the bottom, a single message glowed. "Final war detection in progress. Awaiting command." Panic spread across Concord space. How did humans activate this? What were those red dots? Who built this satellite, and why did it recognize a human diplomat as its master? Back on Earth, scientists worked day and night. Military leaders grew nervous. If humanity was part of something ancient, something powerful, it meant history was wrong. Some Concord members suggested placing Earth under lockdown. Others wanted to destroy the satellite. But not everyone agreed. A scholar named Tizen of the Lyari species offered a different view. "In my studies," he said at the Concord debate, "I found a pattern. Every world with a prophecy fragment also has human genetic markers in its soil. Earth may not be the origin of humans, it may be a second home." The chamber went silent. "You're saying humans were planted?" one alien asked. "I'm saying," Tizen replied, "they may be older than we think." In secret, other ancient ruins began reacting. One on a desert moon in Sector Valarn lit up when a human soldier stepped near. Another on a gas giant opened only for a human explorer. Strange weapons, old tech, and vaults of forgotten knowledge all started waking up, only for humans. Some Concord species began to fear them. Others grew curious. Why were humans connected to so much ancient power? And why now? A hidden pattern began to emerge. The galaxy wasn't just discovering human history, it was waking up because of it. On a quiet night aboard her shuttle, Ambassador Layla looked out at the stars. She had grown up thinking humans were new to the galaxy, small, weak, always playing catch-up. Now she wasn't so sure. A message arrived on her screen. A private file from Earth's oldest data vault. It had been locked for centuries. No one had ever opened it, until now. The file's title, Emergency Archive, Memory of the First Ones. She stared at it, heartbeat rising. Maybe the prophecy wasn't about an enemy coming back. Maybe it was about humanity coming back. And maybe, just maybe, the final war had already begun. The satellite from the Perseid dig site had shaken the entire galaxy. Every major conquered species now watched Earth with new eyes, some with fear, others with curiosity. How could a young race like humans trigger a machine thousands of years, older than their own history? But more was coming, and fast. On the research world of Trion 7, an ancient vault that had never opened before suddenly began to hum. The vault was buried deep under ice, forgotten even by the planet's current owners. A team of scientists had been studying it for decades, and nothing had ever happened. Until a human technician named Jordan Pierce accidentally brushed his hand against the outer wall. The vault opened instantly. Inside was not treasure or weapons, but something stranger, a long black mirror. When Jordan looked into it, it didn't show his reflection. It showed a battlefield. Huge machines, cities burning, stars falling. Then, the mirror spoke. "Welcome back, Commander. Protocol memory." "Reboot in progress." The scientist pulled Jordan away, shocked, but it was too late. The mirror had already sent a signal heading straight toward Earth. Back on Earth, Ambassador Layla Moraine stood in the United Nations Space Council chamber. Her voice was calm, but the room was filled with tension. "You are saying," asked one Earth general, "that we might not be from Earth?" Layla nodded. "Not originally. The satellite reacted to human DNA. So did the vault on Trion 7. Other species have tried for centuries to activate these ruins. Only humans can do it." Another official leaned forward. "Then what are we?" Layla took a breath. "I think we are something very old, something lost, and now, something returned." Across the galaxy, strange things continued to happen. A group of explorers found a planet surrounded by broken defense satellites. The planet had no life, but its surface was covered in strange symbols that matched Earth's oldest languages. When a human archaeologist read the symbols aloud, the satellites came back online. In another system, an alien fleet discovered a floating station powered down for millennia. When scanned, it broadcast a message in perfect English. "Guardian Watchtower 9 online. Awaiting human command." No conquered species could make sense of it. Every door, every computer, every defense system required human touch to activate. The conclusion became clear. Humanity was not a new species. Humanity was a returning one. Panic spread among the 12 high species. The Kryvox Empire declared Earth a potential Level Z threat and sent warships near human space. The Eliari Union demanded humans hand over all data related to ancient tech. Earth refused, but not all species turned against humanity. Some, like the insect-like Catal and the peaceful water-dwelling Geln, offered help. Their leaders believed in the prophecy, and they had read their own fragments. "The Fireborn shall rise from ash. The key shall wear the face of a child world." It was becoming clear. The prophecy didn't speak of a monster waking up. It spoke of a race, a forgotten one, and it had Earth's face. In deep space, near a black hole, an ancient war construct, known as Sentinel Arc 1, powered on after 1,000,000 years of silence. It was the size of a small moon and shaped like a ring. Inside were thousands of sleeping machines, combat drones, armor suits, AI mines, all inactive, until a human exploratory ship drifted too close. The Sentinel scanned them. Then, its systems, Unlocked. Lights blinked on. Massive doors opened. A voice filled the ship's comms. Lineage confirmed. Command class. Prime origin. Awaiting deployment orders. The human crew had no idea what it meant, but the Concord did. Back in the Concord Hall on the capital world of Velath Prime, arguments turned into shouting matches. Some leaders demanded Earth's quarantine. Others feared starting a war that might awaken even more dangerous tech. A few suggested wiping out all humans as a safety measure, but then Tizen of the Lyari stood again. Fear is natural, he said calmly. But truth is necessary. Every ruin we found, every weapon or vault, or beacon was locked until a human appeared. That cannot be chance. The galaxy must face this fact. Humans were once here. Long before us, another delegate scoffed. Then where did they go? Tizen answered, maybe they went into hiding. Maybe they tried to erase themselves. Or maybe they tried to stop something. Back on Earth, the United Nations Council opened the ancient file found by Ambassador Layla, memory of the first ones. The file showed strange footage, massive ships escaping a burning galaxy, humans with glowing eyes standing before alien crowds, and war machines that made modern fleets look like toys. The file ended with a warning. The silence is not dead. We sealed it, but the seal will break. Only the first ones can hold it back. Only memory can protect the stars. Layla whispered, we didn't rise. We returned. Across the galaxy, a storm was growing. Old machines were waking up. Ancient warnings were turning into present threats. And the prophecy was no longer a myth. It was a map, and it pointed to humanity. The truth was becoming clear across the galaxy. Humans were not just newcomers. They were part of something ancient. And now, that ancient past was waking up. On the silent world of Draxus 4, hidden deep in a cold nebula, another relic came alive. Massive tower, tall as a mountain, stood in the middle of a dead desert. No wind, no sound, no signs of life. For thousands of years it had remained dark and silent, until now. As the first human stepped near, the tower lit up like a beacon. A door opened. Not a normal door. This one seemed to slide through reality itself. Inside, the walls were covered in symbols. Strange glowing lines moved across them like they were alive. Lieutenant Kara Jules, a human explorer, entered slowly. Her boots echoed on the cold floor. A voice filled the chamber. First one recognized access granted. Suddenly she saw them, images flashing on the walls. A war. A dark wave moving through space, devouring stars. Cities falling, worlds crying for help. At the center of it all stood beings that looked exactly like humans, wearing armor of light. And they were fighting against something called the silence. At the same time, a secret Concord research base received a strange signal from beyond the galactic rim. The signal was old, very old. But when decoded, it was clear and direct. Silence breach detected. First ones required. Time remaining, 184 days. Panic followed. The word silence had been heard before, in the ancient file unlocked by humans, but the Concord had no idea what it really was. Now they had a countdown. On Velath Prime, the capital of the Concord, chaos grew. Some leaders demanded action against Earth, others called for protection, but no one could deny the truth anymore. The ancient relics were responding to humans. More ruins were opening, more weapons were waking, and now a warning had been sent. Something was coming, and it was coming soon. In a private meeting, Tizen of the Lyari spoke with Ambassador Layla Moraine. We believe your kind may be the first ones, he said. The ancient builders, the protectors, the ones who faced the silence long ago. Layla shook her head. That's impossible. Humans didn't even have space travel 100 years ago. Tizen looked at her, carefully. Or maybe you were made to forget. Back on Earth, scientists were now studying ancient ruins hidden under the planet's surface. Yes, Under Earth itself, old cities buried miles deep. Metal not found anywhere else in the solar system, and in one chamber a giant stasis pod, empty. Records called it the memory cradle, and written on its side in an old language translated by AI was a single message. To protect the stars, we gave up ourselves. One day, we will return. Earth had not just been a birthplace, it had been a hiding place. Across human colonies, strange things began to happen. Some people started seeing dreams, visions of battles they never fought, places they never visited. A pilot from Mars drew a map of a lost system perfectly, even though it had no official records. A child on Europa began speaking an old star language no one had taught her. Doctors were confused, scientists were worried. But ancient conquered data matched the signs. These were memory echoes, pieces of knowledge buried deep in the mind, waiting to be unlocked. Humanity was remembering, but remembering came with danger. From deep space, reports came of stars vanishing. Whole systems gone, no explosion, no remains, just empty space where life used to be. An exploration ship sent to one such system returned with only one survivor. His eyes were wide with terror. His words were broken. It was like nothing, a wall of nothing, not dark, just empty. It touched our minds, it erased them. He kept repeating one word: silence, silence. The Concorde named it officially, the silence event, and the countdown from the signal kept ticking. Layla stood before the Earth Council and Concorde delegates in a joint meeting. "We need to prepare," she said. "The silence is real. Our ancestors faced it once, they must have sealed it away. But the seal is breaking." An alien general asked, "If your kind fought it, why did you hide? Why forget everything?" Tizen replied, "Maybe they didn't forget by accident. Maybe they erased their own past, to stop the silence from finding them again." Layla nodded. "That would mean this. We weren't running from the silence. We were hiding from it. And now it's found us." In secret, Earth began reactivating ancient tech found in old ruins. Armor suits that bonded to human DNA. AI minds that had been asleep for thousands of years. Ships with star engines faster than anything in conquered space. Some humans called it magic, but it wasn't. It was memory. Humanity wasn't evolving. They were waking up. And as the galaxy watched, confused, afraid, and curious, the prophecy now had meaning. The forgotten ones shall rise. The stars will remember. The final war will begin. And the Fireborn shall choose the fate of all. Now the conquered knew who the prophecy was about. Now the galaxy knew who the final war would be. Across the galaxy, the countdown continued. Each second ticked closer to something terrible, something old and patient. The silence. It had no voice, no shape. It did not come with fire or warships. It came with stillness, with emptiness, with forgotten stars and systems wiped clean, as if they had never existed, and now only one race was connected to the truth. Humans. On the moon of Vatrax, inside a deep vault carved into stone, a sleeping AI woke for the first time in over 1,000,000 years. Its name was Horizon 9, and its voice echoed like thunder through the dark chamber. Lineage code detected, command chain restored. A team of human scientists stood frozen as it spoke. "You are not the first," Horizon 9 said, "but you are the last, and the silence is coming." The AI showed them old star maps, hundreds of systems marked with green dots, once full of life. Then it showed what the galaxy looked like now. Only half of those systems remained. "The war never ended," the AI said. "We only delayed it. You must now continue what we began." Back on Earth, strange dreams spread across the population. People saw visions of burning skies, of huge battles, and of strange technology they had never seen before, but somehow understood. A teacher in New Delhi drew a diagram of an ancient energy core she saw in her sleep. A boy in Nigeria wrote a song in a lost galactic language. A pilot on Mars woke up screaming one word, Gatefire. It was the name of the final battle from a forgotten age. Doctors called it mass hallucination. Concord scientists called it genetic memory. But Earth's leaders knew what it really was. Awakening. Ambassador Layla Moraine stood with Tizen of the Liari in front of the gatekeeper vault on the edge of the Sol system. It had just appeared, rising, from the depths of Pluto's largest moon. It was hidden in plain sight, Layla whispered. Covered in ice. Waiting. Tizen nodded. It waited for you. They entered the structure. The walls were smooth, warm, humming with energy. In the center stood a tall metallic obelisk. Layla stepped closer and the obelisk glowed bright blue. Name? A deep voice asked. Layla Moraine, she said. Access granted. Welcome, First Flame. A blast of light filled the room. Then came a download, a flood of ancient knowledge. Layla saw visions of the original humans, powerful, noble, full of purpose. She saw Earth, green and wild, seated as a sanctuary after the First War. She saw the silence breach the galactic wall. She dropped to her knees, gasping. They knew, she said. They knew we would return. Across the Concord, opinions changed fast. Many alien species now respected Earth. Others feared it more than ever. Some believed humans would save the galaxy. Others thought they would destroy it. But no one could ignore them. Every ancient machine, every relic, every defense grid only obeyed one kind: humanity. The Krivox Empire sent a fleet toward Earth, not to attack but to watch. Some said they were preparing to strike if Earth became a threat. Others said they were afraid. The galaxy held its breath. Meanwhile, deep inside Jupiter's atmosphere, a secret lab discovered a buried artifact. It was not metal, not stone. It was a body, humanoid, not human. But it wore armor identical to the kind seen in Earth's ancient visions. It was still glowing faintly as if asleep. As the scientists watched, it opened its eyes. You are late, the being said. The silence is near. Across the stars, the signs became impossible to ignore. Entire sectors were going dark. No signals, no ships, no life. Exploration drones sent to these zones never returned. One drone captured a final image before disappearing. A dark wall in space, blacker than shadow, moving slowly, silently, and swallowing everything. The Concorde called it the Null Front, and it was heading straight for the heart of the galaxy. The Concorde held a final emergency summit. All 12 member species were present. Earth now sat among them, not as a junior race but as something greater. Layla stood to speak. Our ancestors sealed the silence long ago. We were made to forget, so the seal would remain hidden. But the seal is breaking, and the galaxy will fall if we do nothing. Valari Admiral asked, Do you have a plan? Layla nodded. We don't just have a plan, we have the keys. She raised her hand. A hologram appeared. Old blueprints of the Starforge, the only structure capable of creating weapons strong enough to fight the silence. It could not be built by any living race, except humans. At a hidden site beneath Antarctica, Earth's secret, teams began reactivating the Starforge core. Using ancient AI minds, lost nanoforges, and deep Earth power lines that had slept for 1,000,000 years, the construction began. Huge spires rose from under the ice. Lights pulsed with old energy. A beacon reached into space. The galaxy watched. The countdown reached 92 days, and somewhere, far beyond the known galaxy, the silence stirred. It felt something it hadn't felt in a long time. Memory, and it moved faster. The countdown grew shorter. The silence was drawing nearer, moving like a shadow over the galaxy. Entire star systems flickered out one by one. The great wall of emptiness advanced without mercy, swallowing everything in its path. But on Earth, Hope was rising. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, the Starforge thrummed with ancient power. The construction was nearing completion. Gigantic towers pierced the frozen surface, their lights pulsing like giant heartbeats. Earth's finest engineers and scientists worked side by side with ancient AI minds. Forgotten guardians awakened from a million years of sleep. Layla Moraine stood watching the progress with a sense of awe and fear. This was the moment the prophecy spoke of, the moment humans would rise as the first flames. "We are not just fighting for Earth," she told the team. "We are fighting for every star, every world that the silence seeks to erase." Elsewhere in the galaxy, the conquered species prepared for war. The Krivox fleet moved into position near Earth's orbit. The Zheln offered their fleets for defense, and the Katal sent their elite warriors to train human soldiers. Tizen of the Lyari joined Layla in a war room filled with holograms and data streams. They studied the null front, an advancing wave of darkness. "The silence consumes memory," Tizen explained. "It erases history, culture, existence. It leaves nothing but emptiness." Layla nodded. "Then we must be the memory. We must remind the galaxy who they are and what they can fight for." On Mars, pilot Captain Rana Holt trained with a new weapon, an ancient combat exosuit recovered from a vault on the moon. The suit fused with her nervous system, responding to her every thought and move. She tested the suit's strength, firing energy blasts that lit up the barren Martian sky. Her heart raced with excitement. This was power beyond anything known to modern science. "This is what our ancestors used," she whispered. "This is what we must become." But not all was well. Inside the Concord's political chambers, fear turned to paranoia. Some species believed humans would become too powerful. Secret plots formed to sabotage Earth's efforts. A Valari diplomat named Sarek approached Layla privately. "If you grow stronger," Sarek warned, "you risk becoming the galaxy's greatest threat." Layla looked him in the eyes. "If we do not grow stronger, we all will be destroyed." Sarek left without another word. Meanwhile, on the distant world of Zarnath, a mysterious figure watched the galaxy's events with cold interest. She was called Naraya, a shadow of the silence, born from its emptiness. Her eyes burned with dark fire, and her voice was a whisper that could freeze hearts. "The first flames awaken," she said. "Then it is time to snuff them out." Her army of dark creatures moved silently, spreading fear wherever they went. Back on Earth, Layla gathered the leaders of the conquered species for a final briefing. "We face an enemy that erases all existence," she said firmly. "Our only hope lies in the Starforge and the first flames, the humans who awaken their ancient power." The room was silent, heavy with the weight of their task. "We must stand together," Layla continued. "The final war begins now." Outside the conference hall, Captain Rana Holt prepared for her first mission. Her exosuit hummed with energy. Her team was ready. "We go in to hold the line," she said to her squad. "We fight to buy time for the Starforge to finish. We fight because we remember." As the null front neared, the skies darkened. Stars began to wink out. Silence followed silence. Then, a signal flashed across all conquered frequencies. A single word in ancient human language. "Remember, the final battle was about to begin." The dark wave swept through space like a silent storm. The null front, the face of the silence, moved closer every hour. Star systems vanished. Light died. But on Earth and across the conquered, hope burned brighter than ever. Inside the Starforge, energy pulsed like a heartbeat. The ancient machines roared to life, their power filling the sky. Layla Moraine stood at the command center, eyes fixed on the holographic map of the battlefield. "The Starforge is ready," she said, her voice steady but full of determination. "This is our last chance." Tizen nodded. "Then let us light the first flames." Captain Rana Holt and her squadron flew through the shadow of the null front in their ancient exosuits. The suits glowed with bright blue energy, weapons humming as they moved in perfect synchronization. They were the first line of defense. Enemy creatures born of the silence appeared. dark, shifting shapes that seemed to absorb light. They attacked, without sound or mercy. Rana fired her energy cannon, blasts of pure force hitting the shadows and dissolving them. Around her, her squad fought fiercely. "We hold the line," she shouted. Back on Velith Prime, the conquered fleets engaged the enemy in space. Massive warships fired beams of energy, explosions lighting the void. The Krivox, the Jelm, the Katal, and other species fought side by side. But the silence was not just a force of destruction, it was a force of forgetting. Ships lost communication. Crews forgot their missions. The enemy turned minds against themselves. It was a war not only of weapons but of memory and will. Layla activated the Starforge's ancient weapon. A beam of brilliant light shot into space, a pulse designed to restore lost memories across the galaxy. The beam hit the null front. For a moment, the darkness faltered. Suddenly, from the heart of the Starforge, a figure appeared. It was the being. From Jupiter, the first one, the ancient protector who had awakened. "My name is Kale," he said. The silence was once stopped by the first flames, but its hunger never ended. It returned because memory was lost. He looked at Layla. "You are the new first flame, the hope of the galaxy." Kale led the human and Concord forces in a counterattack. Together, they pushed back the null front, reclaiming lost systems and restoring light to the stars. Old memories returned to planets once lost. But Naraya, the shadow of the silence, was not defeated. She appeared in the battlefield, her dark fire burning. "You cannot stop the end," she hissed. Rana and her squad charged at Naraya, their exosuits blazing. In a fierce battle, Rana used the power of the Starforge and her own strength to defeat Naraya, shattering her into nothingness. With Naraya gone, the silence began to weaken. The light of the Starforge spread across the galaxy, healing the damage and restoring the forgotten. Layla looked at the stars, now bright and alive again. "The war is over," she said softly. "But the memory of this fight must never fade." The ancient prophecies had come true. Humans had risen as the first flames. They had fought the final war and saved the galaxy.